Thank you very much. Like we said, in the past, my first bit of professional background, I've always been in operations and manufacturing, always in family businesses, quite a few of them originally from Belgium. I started my career as production and purchasing manager for an aquaculture feeds company and was located in Pitsenloop. I've done high quality jewelry with Moawat, a Lebanese company. Ideal cut diamonds, so the highest level of quality of diamonds at Tolkovsky. Helio Asia was a rotogravure printing company where they produced the printing cylinders for beverage packaging or other packaging companies. But what I'm talking to you today is my stint at Swarovski Gemstones. I joined them in 2014, and at the start of my position there, the company's management decided to roll out empowerment or employee empowerment. First, a little bit of background about Swarovski Gemstones. We were a B2B business producing all gemstones except for crystal. As you know, Swarovski is known for crystal jewelry, but Swarovski itself had quite a lot of different gemstones as well. Our main product was cubic zirconia, which is a diamond simulant, which is the closest that you can get in terms of visual effects in terms of a diamond is cubic zirconia. It's a synthetic stone, and for that product we had quite a lot of, we had 4 different quality ranges from our premium product to the mass-produced product. All these stones were sourced from, the raw material were sourced from China. We would pre-form them, so put them in already in a shape, and then we would ship them to the headquarters in Austria, where they would mass produce, so we're talking thousands and thousands of stones at the same time, which is something you can't do with diamonds. There it's really stone by stone, but for cubic zirconia you could really mass produce it. So when I first joined them, there was quite a few drivers that really told the company and the management that, okay, we need to do something here because we had really a low business performance. 2 years prior to me joining, they had the first global Swarovski employee satisfaction survey, and there it was kind of an eye-opener for the management of our business units, the Gemstones unit, to see that in terms of our engagement, our employees were not engaged. Same for enablement. We were really scoring quite low on the enablement of our employees in order for them to be more effective. Oh, okay, that's a lot easier. In terms of our turnover, at the time the business was already managed by a Thai, a local Thai, and they were faced with quite a lot high turnover. When I first arrived there, the business was already managed for about 12 years, so he did a fantastic job, but still quite a high turnover. Furthermore, we also saw that the financial performance was quite low. We are, or we were, a toll manufacturer, so not really a profit center, but still within the revenue department here in Thailand, you need a minimum of about 5% EBIT, but we saw for the first 12 years averaging well below that, at lower than 4%. So while it was acceptable for the Thai revenue department, of course the management of the company was not so happy. You could really see also external drivers for change. First of all, the consumer behavior is changing. Many people want it now. If you don't find it in shop A, you go directly to shop B. You have the online presence, making it, of course, a lot easier as well. There is a new generation of employees. You know, we have, before it was all baby boomers, which have a different type of working style than, for example, the newer generation. So to really enable that mix of generations and to make sure that everybody is on board. And of course, a lot of increased competition. I mentioned that we sourced our raw materials from China, but of course, there the production of cubic zirconia, knowing at the Chinese level of manufacturing, was of course putting us under a lot of competition and respective price pressure. So then we introduced the employee empowerment triangle, which, as you can see, we start with the core purpose. How can we really tie in the whole organization? And at the time, the total Swarovski group was at that time about 30,000 people. The Gemstones business unit was one of the smaller ones, and we had worldwide, including the manufacturing in Austria as well as the factory here in Thailand, together with all the sales offices and all the supporting functions in Austria. We were about 700 people worldwide. So how can we really tie everybody together, bring everybody under the same umbrella, is to really start with a core purpose. What drives us together? Really identify the why. Why are we here? What are we here to do in order to drive the business? Furthermore, if we really want to drive the business and we're aligned along a common purpose, then it's really of the utmost importance to get the whole organization aligned. So from the lower levels to the higher levels, everybody needs to be aware what are the strategic direction and financial goals. What are we here to achieve? So really identify the what. And this for any organization can be different. Our strategic direction was to grow our premium product, to expand into new materials, things like that. But it was really important that the whole organization realized what we were trying to achieve. And how did we do that? Is by really trying to change the behaviors of the people, by introducing also a social technology that would enable them to really try working in an empowered way. So if you really go for the people and the behaviors, it's important to make everybody understand that, listen, it's not just a matter of we are now empowered, go with it. No, it really starts with the individual. It starts with you. It's not a matter of waiting for your leader to really show this behavior. No, it starts with you. Everybody is aligned. We need to work on it together. So in order to be self-driven, what is really key is to make people understand that whatever you can do at the moment, you're in your comfort zone. You're really confident. You can do whatever it is, but there is also no challenge. The moment you ask people to leave the comfort zone, it becomes a bit of a challenge because they need to learn something new. The further away you go from your comfort zone, it becomes a bit of a panic zone. So what we try to tell the people is that, listen, it starts with you. You will be required to leave your comfort zone, but the moment you do that in small increments, your comfort zone slowly increases, and then you become more confident in trying new things, right? Furthermore, I already said that we need to be aligned along a common purpose and to identify the what. So it's really important because, within an organization, regardless of what you're producing or what kind of function you are, more often than not, you get your personal KPIs, your personal targets, your personal goals, or your department goals. But if each of those goals, if you're only focusing on those on your own, making sure that I reach my goals, regardless of what everybody else is doing, then yeah, maybe you can get your bonus, or maybe you can get rewarded, but the whole organization might suffer, especially if you're working in a manufacturing environment, working on different products. You might have completely different production lines. So while one might have quite a lot of orders, if another department does not, then there is a misalignment. So how can we really tie everybody together is by getting everybody the same goals. When I was at Swarovski Gemstones, I made sure that from the cleaning lady to the middle management or the top management of the company, everybody was aligned to reach the same goals. Because at the end of the year, you get rewarded, bonus, whatever incentives, by reaching the company's goals, not just your individual goals. So it's really important to have everybody tie it along the same goals. Give feedback. Listen, if we're trying to achieve something and you're just keeping your information to yourself, this is not going to work. So as a leader, you need to give feedback to the whole organization, not just to your management team, and then on the hope that they will then further escalate it down to their level. No, you need to make sure as a leader that the whole organization is aware of what is going on. If you know your strategic goals, give that feedback. Make sure the organization is aware of what we're trying to achieve. So how can you do this in a globally diverse or different location spread around the world? It's to really be connected. There is no reason at the moment to not be connected. All the different technologies are there, from WhatsApp to MS Teams, Zoom, Skype, you call it. if you really make sure that we are going in the same direction, you need to be connected and you need to be proactive, reaching out to the different functions within the organization, regardless of where they are located. So be responsible, be responsive. If you need to give feedback, then the person giving the feedback, they're waiting for a response. So be responsive. I know it's easy to forget about an email because everybody gets so many emails a day, but there is ways around it, especially in large organizations. You have your Skypes, small instant messaging. You can find ways of being responsive, because if I'm sending out a request and I don't get any response, I can't finish my job. I can't continue doing my work before I get the answer from my colleague. Be specific. There is a lot of time wasted by sending very long-winded emails about trying to get whatever you need to have. If you're really specific from the get-go, a few bullet points, but really be specific in your feedback or your request, things will go a lot smoother and a lot quicker. But also be flexible. Listen, if you see you're working on something, you see an email coming in with urgent request on top, drop what you're doing, focus on that, because whatever the request came in, that person might be really waiting for this. So be flexible in, allowing your time to be spent on other things, not just for yourself. Be entrepreneurial. I've always worked in manufacturing, as I said, and many times I've noticed that the people on the production floor that doing the production steps every single day, they often have brilliant ideas. And if you don't give them a voice or listen to them to see what they're trying to do, then it will be tough. So try to be entrepreneurial. Listen, think out of the box. We're asking you to leave your comfort zone. By doing that, you might be inspired to really create something new or try a new way of working. So how can we as an organization really show our teams that, listen, we trust you, I empower you. So what we introduce is the circle concept. Now, if you align the circle concept to the point of your strategic direction, remember I said for Swarovski at the time it was grow the premium product, expand into new markets. So let's say we also focus on our main customer, the one that brings the most turnover. How can we further develop this customer to bring us more business? So let's say we develop customer XYZ, he's our biggest one. We need to bring new innovations, new products. We need to really find out what's on their whiteboard, right? In their office where you put your ideas. How can we find out what they're looking for? So if we trying to develop a certain customer or provide them with more business, of course we need to bring along the team that can really make a difference. So we're talking about sales for sure as a first face to the customer. Customer service, of course, makes sure that they're involved. Product management and product development. If the customer asks for XYZ, you need to make sure that you can produce it. So of course we need production there as well. And of course SEM logistics, once we have produced it, can we indeed ship it. So if as a leader you set up a team like this could be middle management or supervisor, whatever level of the organization you are, you can put an empowerment circle and give them the decision-making powers to really drive the business. They know what they need to do. They need to develop customer XYZ. So give them the power. They are empowered. They have the trust of their leaders to really know, because we are aligned. We are along a common purpose, right? We know what we need to achieve. So give them the power to decide. They don't need to run it up the flagpole and ask for permission or approvals. They are empowered to make these decisions on behalf of the company. So this is really a cool way of showing your teams, listen, I empower you, and through my behavior and my actions, using the circle concept, I give you the power to really make a difference and to really drive decisions for the business without having to ask for permissions and approval, thereby making it a lot quicker as well in terms of actions and feedback towards the customer. Another example could be, producing a new product, a new innovation that you've heard from the circle of the customer. So what you do, again, you need to bring the right people around the circle. And of course, sometimes there is, I don't know, maybe a question of, can we really do this, or they need somebody from outside the circle to come and provide some information. So of course, they can always depend on experts. So does this really, if you have an empowered organization, that means that you have engaged employees. And an engaged employee really is committed to do his job well, and he will give you the discretionary effort to do so. While you as the, if you have engaged employees, that's the employee, right? But what can we do as an organization to bring them to that point is, of course, to enable them, optimize roles, support development of soft skills, hard skills, whatever needs to be, upskilling, job rotation. You enable your employees to be empowered, right? So if you combine these two, that means that you have more effective employees. And if then the effective employees are aligned, remember in my first slide, the common purpose, strategic direction, if everybody is aligned along the vision and the strategies, does that really lead to better business results? And after 9 years of Swarovski, we saw a difference after 3 years, which in terms of employee satisfaction, I said the eye-opener or the start of the process was really in 2012, where we scored horribly on the satisfaction. And then after that, you could see a steadily increased satisfaction of the employees because they felt empowered. And as you could see, it took about three to 4 years before we really felt it within the organization. Turnover, we all know turnover is a cost to company. The cost to company to replace an employee is estimated to be 6 to 12 months. That's a huge cost if you have a couple of hundred people on board, right? So what can we do to really keep them? And what we saw is, again, a clear indication that there is a direct correlation between the satisfaction of the employee and thereby also the turnover. Because this was really, we were a record breaker within the manufacturing environment of Swarovski. They had about 7 factories worldwide. And we were really trendsetting in terms of empowerment. Of course, EBIT, you all want to know, does it really do something to the EBIT line as well? Here again, a clear correlation. Within the first couple of years, it was a struggle, but then it was really, people start to feel it, yes, this is the way we are working now. It's not just a one-off or just a new trend that we're trying. No, it was really felt by the organization, and you could really see it also in terms of our performance. There was a lot of other different KPIs, cost per piece, energy saving. I just wanted to give you the key ones that are important for any organization. So what are really the keys? It has to start with the leaders, and what we really felt within Swarovski Gemstones is we felt it from our leaders. He started, and we had one of the owners of the group of Swarovski. We had a core management team, one doing manufacturing, marketing, finance, and sales. And those 4 gentlemen, together with the family member, managed the gemstones business. And it was really felt by them, the whole organization really felt they mean this, and they're giving us the tools to do so. So I really felt empowered by my leader. Regular feedback, again, feedback is so important. What we try to do at Gemstones is we had monthly HR morning talks. We had a factory, 6 floors, about 10,000 square meters, 10, 12 different departments where we would every month go into the departments, myself and the HR head, and really give feedback. Okay, this month we're doing well, whatever, really complete, open and transparent to all levels of organization. And as a production operator, you might not understand what EBIT is or this or that. So of course we both put it in a simple language that people understand, because it's especially here in Thailand, production operators, it's still very much financially driven. They want the overtime, they want the production incentives, they want to have that bonus at the end of the year. So if we as an organization at the end of the year say, actually the whole year, oh shit, no bonus, if you just tell them that in December without any reason or without any prior feedback, they're not going to be happy. But if they already see it coming from March, April, May updates, that, hey, guys, we're not doing well, and then they start feeling, I've got overtime, whatever, then they're not so surprised. It's not a shock at the end of the year why they don't get a bonus. Or on the other hand, if we're doing really well, they'll see, they can already expect a nice bonus is coming at the end of the year. Right? So really, feedback is so important. Give trust. At the end of the day, if you start in an organization, you start from zero, right? There is no reason for them not to trust me. Likewise, for me, I should be trusting them. So if you start from trust is given freely and they feel this, I know as a leader it might be difficult because it's a way of letting go. So it's difficult for some people to let go and to give that trust. But it's amazing what you could really get out of the organization or out of a team if you really give them that trust and they feel that. So we're human, we make mistakes. You as a leader, everybody makes mistakes. So rather than, finger pointing, it happened. It happened already. So it doesn't really matter who did it. If somebody makes a mistake, let's learn from it, right? Let's find ways of improving that. If the mistake is made again and again and again, that's a different option, a different thing altogether. But if somebody is, they have the trust and they are confident, they will come to you and say, hey, I made a mistake. What happened? Let's find out, bring in others if needed, but really go detail on what happened and how can we avoid that from happening again? How can we prevent that from happening again by making certain improvements? And that I think was really key in the first couple of years that people brought you, oh, I made a mistake or this happened or that happened. Just being calm and collected and not slamming on the table, just say, okay, what happened? What can we do? It really started to give people the confidence to really admit mistakes. And every mistake we use as an opportunity to improve. It was really that simple. Listen to your teams. It's so key. I think as a leader, you tend to more listen to maybe your top management or your middle management. Go down to the production floor. Listen to them. Be open. I've always had an open door policy, and I was fortunate to have my office next to the HR department, so you could always see anybody coming to HR. Door always open. First 2 years, nobody came into my office. Nobody. After a couple of years, but then yes, and you're working on an email, you're typing, and you see somebody in the corner of your eye standing there. I drop everything and give them my undivided attention because they're coming with feedback. So if I'm trying to just, disregard them or not pay attention to them, then next time they're not going to come to you, right? So have that open door policy and really listen and make sure they have a voice. An operator usually, and especially here in Thailand, empowerment really goes against the local culture. You've all been here a long time. You're from a young age, you're taught to listen to your elders, don't question, and here we are, no, question, please, we want to hear from you. And that's why it took also a bit longer, because people needed to feel it if this is really the case. Be agile. I think at the moment, at the end of the day, we're here to service our customer. Whatever field or industry you're at, or whatever product you're selling, you're here to service the customer. So what are we, again, going back to that flexibility, to that entrepreneurial spirit, is really, what can we do to really progress the customer and thereby progressing the business? So one key that I said it before, what really helped us is to just align everybody. You can have a production operator making, by some incentive scheme, make sure they reach, they're motivated to reach their targets, which in turn then helps the company reach the target. So make sure that you can find a way, and it doesn't have to be exact, but for us, my top management, middle management, all supervisors, all had the same KPIs. And you could say in a production environment, yeah, but we're here to produce. How does HR help produce the product? Well, you're here to make sure we have a salary, that social security is there, medical insurance, whatever. Same with IT, same with finance. Many people in the production environment, especially in the beginning, when they started to find the confidence to raise their voice, how is IT helping us produce our product? Well, we have all the production systems in place, we have the IT, you need computers to do this, so making sure that, it's not just, and vice versa. IT finding, listen, they're producing, how is that related to me? Well, you need to make sure that all the systems are running for them to do their job. So really find a way, and there is a way that you can really tie in all levels along the same goals. Support the development of your employees. I think this is key. In a production environment, most of the time it's your supervisor or your middle management that you send for training, soft skills, whatever. And because every time you take a production operator out, you're losing production. I think it's important to show all levels of organization that we're willing to invest in you to support your development. And for a production operator, it could be as easy as just job rotation. Go try another product. Because through job rotation and upskilling, especially in a manufacturing environment, it gives you more flexibility, because maybe not all products are produced 100% all the time. There is going to be some dips here and there. So if you can move people around to more busy centers, then you can win. Because for them it's, well, if you stay there, you don't have overtime, but there, come and help this department, you can go get some more overtime, and that, of course, again, motivates them to do further. Do everything as one team. And what still stays with me after these 9 years is when the owner of the Gemstones business unit, one of the Swarovski family members, when he made his initial speech about, let's get empowerment going, he said, listen, I'm in the boat, I'm ready to start rowing, I want you to come in the boat and row with us, because if we row all in the same direction, we'll go further and faster. And that always stayed with me, because, listen, if I really felt this passion for empowerment from my leaders, it was easier for me than to also give the trust to my team and further roll that down the organization. So at the end of the day, empowerment starts with you. I said it starts with the leaders, but you can't just, even if you are middle management or lower in the organization, you can't just sit and wait, okay, I'm going to wait for my leader to be empowered or to empower me. It starts with the individual. Be self-driven, right? It's all about you. So if you can show the change in behavior and attitudes within the organization, I think it's really helpful to really get that common drive throughout the whole organization. So if you want to implement this within your company, please let me know. You can contact me anytime through the options on the screen. And if there is any questions, I thank you very much, Jack, for the opportunity today.
Thank you so much.
And I hope it was interesting for you. And if you, like I said, want to learn more, just let me know. Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much for sharing. I think that was very insightful, and took me back to I think no one knows in this room, but in early days I was doing business consulting for my wealth management journey. And one of the things that you mentioned, I was working on the production flow and actually training the production people, and that's where you get all the feedback. And actually you're paying a lot of money and man hours to the consultant who's actually standing there. What you have described is a cost saving even in itself for the whole process. But one thing I thought would be really nice for you to share, and I see that a lot common in Thailand, is the barrier, right? As an expat, when you come in here, you talked about cultural differences. You talked about, there's a language barrier, right? I think that's key. If you could share some quick start tips for people in this room, for the members, is how did you overcome that as an expat when you first started?
Right. Well, I think what really helped me is that I speak Thai fluently. So it's easier to go to the production floor and address people. If I was not so fluent in Thai, I think you'd probably not have this conversation today. It would have been a lot tougher to do this through a translator. But I think just being authentic, being yourself, and really being able to bring yourself down to their level and talk, a similar language. They're always, going to be a little bit intimidated if the managing director, Farhan for that matter, addresses them directly. And it took some time for them to get used to that, because like I said, the first 12 years was managed under a Thai local with, whatever style he had at the time, and then, a foreigner comes in, speaks Thai, thankfully, and I think that kind of helps to really bridge that divide. Is I'm not just a foreigner that doesn't speak Thai. I think that kind of helped. But I think if you have, even if you don't speak the language, there is ways to make sure that people are heard and that people have a voice. I think as long as this kind of message goes through the organization, then it will happen as well.
Thank you very much. So I think everyone, whoever doesn't know Thai, we need to start with Thai lessons soon.
That was going to be my question. So you would recommend people learning to speak Thai conversation, correct?
It helps, yeah.
Okay, so everyone heard that, right?
You know where to go.
Yes, please.
How do you handle the middle management after you? Because they were already the Thai senior people who have been working for quite some time.
Right.
And they have got a way of doing the things.
Right.
And down the people, maybe you have got a new team or the production flow. So how do you match into that? Because they will be a barrier in between, because with their mindset, which they have been doing for so many years,
Right.
20, 30 years, and suddenly something wants to change. So they become a big barrier in between the change and what is there in the present. So how do you handle that?
Well, for me, it was really inheriting this whole top management team of Swarovski Gemstones when I took over. The previous guy retired. So many of them at the time were already there 5-6 years, so they had that that idea of how it was used to be managed. So what really helped me is that it was a company, a globally rolled out drive. It was not just, okay, the new guy is coming up with a new scheme and let's implement this. No, it was really felt also from headquarters, the drive, the push there for empowerment. So I think the introduction of the empowerment drive together with me entering as a new guy, I think kind of helped there to bridge that gap and to say, listen, okay, empowerment was always my style. To now have a toolbox and consultants to help me in the first couple of months to really show the organization what it meant, I think kind of helped to bridge that gap. Does that answer the question?
Any tips for handling this? I have a similar question, because you are an empowered leader, you want to propagate empowerment. Your team is willing to down the line, and half of your middle management is also in line with you. But there may be, a couple of them who are used to a different style of working all their life and difficult to change. So how do you address that separately and get them to this culture?
Well, I mean, the way we really rolled it out was very intensive workshops. It was not just a slide like this and okay, take it away. No, it was 3 days of intensive workshop with the whole team to really go through all the topics from strategic direction to the people and behavior. And every time we showed part of the little triangle, okay, this is what it means, this is how it means for our customer, what does it mean for us? And go to a little whiteboard and work on it, and then bring and come present. And every time they did that, you could steer as a leader, you could steer, okay, you're going in the right direction, but you need a little bit here, a little bit there, right? So these intensive workshops was really what did it and what brought us together as one, right? Yes?
Even after so many workshops and training, I'm sure there were people that were still not on board. Did you have to let a lot of people go and recruit new people that were?
No, actually not. We, as the turnover showed, we tried to not let people go. And what we also did always is any position that became available, we looked within internal recruitment, because then it gives the people also the confidence, hey, I might be a production supervisor now, but there is room for growth, which motivates the people. So I think it's important to really get everybody together, and the workshops were intense. I mean, we did that for the whole organization, 350 people, and it was always workshops of 20 to 30 only. So you can imagine how many workshops we had to do. And what we saw, the management, we had 3 days of workshops, and then the supervisors had 3 days of workshops. But then the operators, we need to produce only 1 day. And there we saw in the beginning that there was too much information compiled into 1 day. It was just an overload. So we went back and did some refresher workshop with just the operators to go really on the core values in terms of the people and behavior. What do you need to change? Not in terms of go more elaborate on the strategic direction. No, it's what is important for you as an operator is to be self-driven, is to leave the comfort zone, be connected, things like that. So that was one of the challenges, is to bring it into a language that an operator could understand, because otherwise it might have been a bit of too much, right? Why give the management and supervisor 3 days and then try to condense everything in 1 day? That was our mistake that we made at the beginning. And there we saw the understanding wasn't there yet, and we had to do some refresher courses for the operator level. Does that answer the question?
Okay, you will join us for the breakfast, so if you have more questions, you can ask him during the breakfast. We need to move on.
Of course.
Thank you.